So, number 10, the misclassification of employees. Okay. Now, you may not even have employees. Again, we're working from the top down to the one that affects the most people. Misclassification of employees. Let me share with you a story. I had a client, they had a business. And in this business, she had a bunch of workers. And these workers, she prescribed or set the time that they came, how many hours you will work, and then she would pay you according. However, she classified all of these employees as 1099 employees. Okay. Everybody familiar with the difference between an employee and a 1099 contract? 1099 contractor, you don't have to withhold any payroll taxes for. You just pay them from cash or pay them a check. At the end of the year, you're supposed to give them a 1099 of how much you paid them the entire year. Real simple, real easy, right? So most employers tend to want to hire an independent contractor because they don't have to withhold any taxes, they don't have to pay FICA, Social Security, any of that like that. Okay, but here's the thing. It's not up to what you call that worker. It's really up to how the IRS views that worker. So if you control their schedule, they're not an independent contractor. It's not up to them to choose how they do their work. So because you are in control of these different things, the IRS will view this person as an employee, not an independent contractor. So I had a client, they had an employee or worker. He was a 1099 contractor. What happened was after he left the company, it was like maybe 6 years later, he figured that he hadn't paid enough into Social Security. The employer wasn't paying any Social Security for him. So he gets upset. And guess what he does? He takes out a lawsuit on this employer. Say, hey, I was supposed to be an employee. I wasn't supposed to be an independent contractor. That's very, very, very hard to defend. What happens in that case usually is the IRS will agree with that worker. If you cannot prove that otherwise, then what happens to that employer? Now you owe all of this back. Payroll taxes, back workers' comp. It can get really, really expensive very, very quick. Okay. So what I advise is always make sure you talk to a tax specialist and make sure that you're classifying your workers properly. There's probably a very, very large error where people spend tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars later on